So in your new book, Can't Hurt Me, you say that the premise behind this book really started from the day you were born.
Right.
You describe your childhood as being very dark. How so?
Well, my dad was a very abusive man, and it kind of like just snowballed from there. And I was just being tested over and over again. My dad was abusive. I had a learning disability. I stuttered. I had a horrible foundation. So when that happens, it's like, they say things come in threes. Things came in like tens for me. So, from there, we moved from Buffalo to a small town in Indiana. And while there were great people there in that small town, I focused on the negative people who were, racist and calling me different names and whatnot. And being one of the only like 5 or 6 black guys in a class of a lot, I tried to hide. And having a learning disability, being a different person, you try to hide and you start lying, you're insecure. My mom worked 3 jobs, so she wasn't home a lot. So my life just continued to have these different pitfalls that I was falling into.
Oh, man, that is some story. And I think on that level, we've all heard the expression, the truth hurts. So on that level, you embrace that hurt.
Yes.
And sort of motivate you in the military and in life. But when was the moment, when did you realize that you needed to make just a massive change?
At a 4th grade reading level my junior year in high school. So I literally was trying to write down all my issues on these sticky notes on this mirror about things I have to change because I had to fix myself. So then I went on to, I finally got in the military, tried to become an Air Force pararescueman. That didn't work out. I realized I was afraid of water.
Oh boy.
I went in the Air Force at 175. 4 years later, came out at 297 pounds.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So depression set in. I didn't get the job that I wanted. Whenever hard times came, I would go right back to rock bottom. I didn't have these tools to get myself out of the sewer mentally. So I came home working for a job called Ecolab, spraying for cockroaches from 11 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock in the morning, making $1,000 a month and weighing 297. And I came home and watched this show on TV about these guys going through Navy SEAL training. And it brought me back to those insecure, small feelings I had. I saw a whole bunch of water, which I hated. The Pacific Ocean, which you all know is very cold. It's never warm. And I saw these guys just quitting left and right. And the class went from a big class to a very small class. And at the end of the graduation, and I watched this on TV, it's about 27 minutes long, this commanding officer is at the graduation ceremony. And he gives this speech, and he didn't say exactly this, but something like this. We live in a society where mediocrity is often rewarded. Something about these 22 men detest mediocrity. And I felt like I was this big. And I said, I have to start to face myself. I have to go back to that accountability mirror and start to face my fears, my insecurities. Why am I lying so much? Why? All these things that happened in my life. I was bullied as a small kid, and I had some great friends, but all these things, I always looked at all the negatives. I never saw the big picture. I was never open-minded to the truth. So my reality was small and very shallow, but that became my reality.
But you got yourself through Navy SEAL school. You tried 3 times.
Yes.
But you didn't quit.
No.
You eventually made it. So, you say something in the book about facing impossible tasks. And when you see a task that is seemingly impossible, stop making excuses and just start moving.
Right. So that right there is all about, once again, about being raw and real, about the impossible task. Nothing is impossible. The most important conversation is the one we have with ourselves. If we are constantly feeding ourselves with, it's impossible, I'm not smart enough, I'm just not supposed to be here, you're gonna believe that. But if you start to feed yourself with the proper mental nutrition, what happens is you start to believe in yourself. And the more you believe in yourself, the more you believe if one man or one person can do this, another one can.
And you are proof of that is for sure. And one of the things that I love that you say is that our most powerful weapon is our mind, and you also say that we are not utilizing nearly its full potential.
Right.
Tell me more.
So I came up with this thing called the 40% rule.
Okay.
I keep everything, as I call it, simple, stupid for myself. I didn't want to go off on some big tangent, trying to get off on some, big mind stuff. So I just keep it real simple for me. It's all about you are never given all you can. And I believe that our minds have a governor on them. So the 40% rule is that, like a car. So, like some cars have a governor on it. When it gets to 92 miles an hour, the speedometer may say 130. But our minds, just like a car, when it gets to that governor, it can't go any faster until we take the governor off. So for us, The governor comes when we feel pain, suffering, discomfort. Maybe something brings you back to your childhood. All these different things happen, so it keeps your mind from reaching the full 100% potential. And so once you get over yourself and realize, stop being afraid of being judged, live in your own world, do what you have to do to be the best person you can. Ignore the noise.
And then your mind capacity expands
expand.
when you get that governor off. I like that analogy.
And helping your mind expand is your cookie jar concept. Explain that.
So the cookie jar concept is no matter how tough you are in life, we've all been through issues. No matter if you come from a nice life or a bad life, it doesn't matter. But what happens is the hardest of times, we forget how tough we truly are. So let's say something happens in life where you can't pay your bills. You forget how many times before this time that you've lived in the dungeon in your mind. And you got through it. You got over it. So the cookie jar is just that. It's a mental reminder during hard times to take a breath, relax, and remember this isn't the hardest thing I've ever endured. So it's a mental cookie jar that you go back into, pull out a cookie, like a fortune cookie, and say, oh, I went through 3 hell weeks. Oh, I taught myself how to read. Oh, I came from abusive childhood and look where I'm at now. It's a reminder of that I am a tough person.
And also for you, you can pull out that you're the 36th black man in history to have become a Navy SEAL.
Right. So when I walked in the recruiter's office.
That's amazing.
It was. I was 297 pounds. And I found out that there only been 35 African Americans. And I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months.
Yeah.
But it happened.
That's another cookie in the cookie jar that you can go back to and look at. And you know, there's people watching out there that are listening to you and are inspired and amazed, but what would you say to them out there? Maybe some of them going through a tough time, don't see a way out. What advice would you give them?
The biggest advice is shut off your phones, shut off all technology, find a dark, quiet place for you to think. You have to think first. And then when you think, you have to think, okay, what's my purpose in life? From your purpose, now you found, okay, I found my purpose. What are my goals now? Okay, you find your goals. Now you got to sit down and plan. Plan, how am I going to accomplish these goals? Then from there, the hardest part is you have to put the action in. And that's where everybody fails, is the action part. But you have to quiet the noise. The world's moving too fast right now. You have to stop it and say, what am I all about and where am I going? But it takes being raw and real with yourself.